where are the aliens? Fermi's question, where is everybody? So I reframed this question a different way. I said, okay, well, there's this process starting from simple dead matter, going through simple life, advanced life like us, even more advanced life that could be visible in the universe. There's a physical process by which things start at one end and get to the other end of that chain. And at the end of that chain, there's almost nothing. The universe seems to have almost nothing out there that has reached this end that we think is a plausible end for us. And so that means it's really hard to go along this path. And we can think of how that's hard as a filter. There are places where many things start and they don't all reach the end. Some things knock them off the path. So the great filter is the sum total of all these obstacles, from starting from simple dead matter to becoming the visible, expanding life that you could see from a long way away, which we don't see. And the question is, what's the chance that we wouldn't hate something about them? Maybe they eat babies. Who knows? They don't think it's a big deal, but apparently we might.
Robin Hanson on UFOs. Is Earth being monitored by aliens? Curt Jaimungal, Theories of Everything. It's a fun watch. It's not very long. It's an hour and a half. They're only really talking about aliens for about half of that. There's a section here in the middle called Truth, which is kind of like the transition from UFOs and aliens to bitching about academia. And so we do truth. You ask him like, "What is truth?" And he kind of starts to talk about it, and then Curt says, "Do you want me to tell you what truth is?" So he says, "Yeah," and he gives them like the definitions of truth, and then that's how he kind of like then philosophically switches over to full-on complaint mode on academia and scientists, institutions, the fall of academia, peer review, good and bad. There's a cool spot in here where they're talking about like using prediction markets to do to rank current scientists and even go back and rank old scientists and try and create a new like incentive system for the next generation of scientists. The system is broken. It's kind of like the basic kind of like complaining that we see from the scientists on YouTube lately. Everything's kind of dogma in every direction. The money pays to run dogma. The money's in the places where most of us don't want to be. Talking too much about the stuff that you want to talk about gets you into the places where there's not a lot of money, which is where you don't want to be also. So yeah, you got like the first half if you really just want to focus in on the UFOs and aliens and ufology. You got this super math guy, and he's doing super math abstract statistical analysis on aliens and then UFOs, and then the topic of panspermia. They kind of just go over the same kind of math from different angles a little bit, especially since they're being abstract mathematicians as they do these ones: alien hierarchies, alien culture and motivations, probability of aliens. Kind of doing the same thing. They're saying, well, because of how he's trying to narrow down everything, and Curt's questions keep on opening up the equation to a lot more stuff, so then he re-narrows it down. Is basically what happens with each one of those categories. Because he's saying, well, as far as what we have, what we've actually seen of aliens and UFOs, that kind of leads him to cut out all sorts of other stuff from the mathematical equation, and that leaves us with only a few kind of answers for why and how and where. the aliens are and got here, and etc. So it's fun because you know, because it is maths. What they're doing is, like I said, abstract statistical analysis, which usually I would say, I'd criticize him on Twitter because he's just taking a bunch of kind of like UFO and alien strawmans and adding them together. But that's what he says he's doing, right? When he says it's abstract statistical analysis, he says, well, I'm just taking a bunch of really abstract strawmans, assumptions. Aliens are so smart, or it takes about this long for life to get from A to B. And as far as our civilization goes, it's this long. So the galaxy's been a lot older than that. So there should have been a lot more life forms out there than just us. And we don't see them. And so the reasons we wouldn't see them are kind of like this one or that one. Either aliens advance and colonize the galaxy very slowly, or they advance and colonize the galaxy super quickly. And so that's why we wouldn't see them either way. It's because they're kind of like, that's somewhere in here, which one is it, where they get into the details of this explanation. I think it's probably alien hierarchies. Is that the aliens wanted to control their culture, so they came up with rules that they would kind of basically like stick to one planet or a very small area, but probably just one planet. And he says one planet because that's the extreme in the abstract mathematical equation that he wants to set up and do. So then those aliens would stay on one planet. They would be expanding into the galaxy very, very slowly. And if they were here, if they came all the way here, they would have sent like a very particular utilitarian expedition with powers and resources to do the thing that they need to do, which he would say and does say in that scenario is to show up and find other aliens like us and convince us to do things their way also, which is to kind of stick to one planet, stay small, and get awesome, get buff. And so that's a bunch of kind of strawmans, like I would say on Twitter, is all the aliens are so smart that they would be so, good and ethical that they would want to stay to one system because they want to keep control of their culture. It's kind of what he says. He doesn't want that a culture like that wouldn't want to end up as 2 or 3 or 4 cultures that then fight amongst each other or can come back and conquer each other. But that is, like he says, he calls it mathematical abstract statistical analysis, which is, stacking a bunch of different broad generalized strawmans on top of each other and pushing equal.